G'day. I'm guessing that most of you weren't at the track for the last race here in Austin, and you probably have no idea what cars the drivers drove to the COTA track. Well, I do, and in this video I'm going to tell you what 19 of the 20 drivers drove to the track, plus a couple of the team principals, a television commentator, and even what I drove. The Circuit of the Americas turned on an absolute ripper Grand Prix, and if you saw my wrap the other day up on my YouTube channel, you'll understand why it was so popular. But what did the drivers drive to the track? Let's kick it off with the McLaren drivers. What McLarens were they driving? They weren't. They were driving big, monster, oversized cars, the sort of cars that are loved here in Texas. Both of the drivers were driving Tahoes. These are Chevys, obviously, and these are a far cry from, say, a McLaren 720S. Was there a 720S parked in the driver's car park? Yes, there was. But who was driving it, do you think? Jenson Button coming into the track with Karun Chandok in the passenger seat of this magnificent 720S, silver in colour. And these things are well over a couple of $100,000 here. So I'll give you the exact price. Hang on. They sell for around $300,000 here in the US, have a top speed of 212 miles an hour, and sound like this. Let's just enjoy this for a second. Oh, that is sweet. And I've seen a few of them driving around here in Austin. This is my view out here, and I see a number of them backwards and forwards over the bridge. And I'll butt in and tell you here that there is a group of 20 Pagani drivers with their cars who are going out to the track on Friday for a track day. I saw 5 of them in a fuel station not 10 minutes from where I am here. But I digress. So let me get back to what I thought were the 2 best cars that were driven by drivers this weekend. Red Bull drivers came in Acura NSXs. Max's was silver, and Sergio's, I think, was the standout car, and hence I featured him in the thumbnail, this red NSX Acura. Now, Acura is a brand of Honda. It's the upper-level luxury mark, and you might have seen great chatter on a post I put up, was at the show run, with Sergio wearing a race suit with Acura written big across the stomach, and I guess that pointed to the fact that they'd be running that particular logo on the car, and they did. It was big on the back wing. But this is a lovely looking car. And were the other Red Bull drivers, I'm talking the junior team Alfa Tauri with Pierre and Yuki, were they driving NSXs? They were not. No, they were driving another Acura. This is a TLX Type S. And of the two, with Pierre driving the blue car and Yuki the gold, I thought the gold looked great. And you'll remember earlier on in the year that the Red Bull drivers drove NSXs they were vintage NSXs, to the British race. But this race, they had what I believe is the latest model. I was surprised at the price of these. These are about $170,000 US, depending on the configuration, which, as you can realize, can vary markedly. Compared with, say, the TLX Type S, which the Alfa Tauri boys were driving, which is probably around a third of that price. Let's go to the Mercedes drivers. Now, I can tell you I saw Lewis only once out in the car park this race, and he was driving a silver SUV. I can't even tell you what model. And I'll tell you why, because this race we've been allowed to go into the paddock, and this is the first time since COVID hit I've been allowed back into the paddock to photograph. So the quandary was, do I go in and get the better photos in the paddock, or do I stay out in the car park to get details of the cars that the drivers drive? Because I know you want to know, but I can't give you exact details on Lewis's, and this is the only shot I have of Valtteri coming in with his girlfriend Tiffany Cromwell. Now, you Mercedes experts will probably be able to pick instantly what model this is, and if you do, could you please put it in the comments so others can see below. And it was quite funny actually, because one of the media guys from F1 said, I can't believe we've given you paddock access and you're still loitering out here in the car park. But oftentimes we get the best photos out here because the drivers don't have their masks on until they get inside the paddock. Let's have a look at what the Haas drivers were driving. They were driving absolute monster cars, much like the McLaren boys. Nikita Mazepin, who often arrives in big cars, didn't let us down. He had a GMC Yukon, the Denali written on the side here, and Mick Schumacher came in a silver Dodge Grand Caravan. and I know nothing about those cars, but I do know a little bit about the Romas that both of the Ferrari drivers were driving. This is a car that's worth around $200,000 here in the US, a lot more in Australia, and even more in places like Singapore where they whack on crazy taxes. The Roma is one of, I think, 7 cars that have back seats, and that's why the likes of Carlos Sainz drives it, is because he's got 3 that he needs to get to the track, and they need that rear seat. The Alpine boys, were they driving Renaults? No, they weren't. I can't tell you what Fernando drove. I never saw him on any day entering the paddock, but I can tell you that Esteban Ocon was driving this Nissan Armada V8, the platinum version. Aston Martin drivers are well spoilt when it comes to cars to get to the track in, and this weekend was no exception for both of the drivers. I thought Seb's was lovely. It once again was a soft top, although I didn't see him any day with the top down. But then again, he might have had it down driving through the streets and put it up when he got near to the paddock. This is the Aston Martin DBS Volante Superleggera. Swish-looking car. Sells for anywhere from, say, $330,000 to $390,000 US, and looks an absolute peach. And because at this race the drivers don't have motorhomes, we actually got Seb in the car coming to the track. And his teammate, Lance Stroll, was driving the bigger SUV, the DBX. Just 4 more drivers to go, and if we have a look at the Alfa Romeo drivers, with Kimi Raikkonen driving this blue Alfa Romeo Giulia, and Antonio Giovinazzi was driving a black Giulia. You might have remembered earlier in the year at Monza, Antonio actually drove his car to the track. Now his car is a little bit special. This is the limited edition Giulia. It's the GTA M, a racing edition of the car. It's the same size vehicle as the normal car, except the 2 rear seats are out. It's got a roll cage in there. It's been beefed up big time in terms of performance. It is only 2 seats, only 500 made. And this car here sells for around 200,000 euros. And it has the flash spoiler on the back as well. And finally, the Williams drivers, driving big American SUVs. George Russell driving the exact same car as Nikita Mazepin, the GMC Denali Yukon, and Nicholas Latifi in a Ford Expedition. Nothing terribly special there. So that's 19 of the 20 drivers. As I mentioned, Fernando, didn't see him. Can't tell you what he drove. Let's move on to some team principles, and I'll kick it off with Mattia Binotto and his crew of Ferrari Hierarchy in a beautiful Maserati Gran Turismo. This is black paint. It's not a wrap. I initially thought that this was a wrap. Andreas Seidel, a team boss at McLaren, driving just a simple plain Chrysler 300. These retail for between about 32 and 40,000 US dollars. Otmar Safnauer, beautiful silver DBX. And finally, Kim Illman, driving in a BMW 330i. Now, I would not normally rent such a flash car, but luckily I got upgraded when I've got this car for 19 days, and I love it. Now you know a little bit more about what those drivers drove to the track. Now, are you going to Abu Dhabi by any chance for the final race of the year? Because if you are, you may well find yourself on the receiving end of 2 F1 Experiences packages. Not sure exactly how I'm going to give these away, but after the success of the recent promotion where I gave away 2 tickets for the grandstand for one lucky punter here in Austin, F1 Experiences said, right, Kim, give away 2 full packages. So it's going to include a whole lot of things. Great grandstand seating, some opportunities to get onto the track and do some interesting stuff, and I'll tell you more over the coming weeks. I'd like you now to like the video. Could you do that for me, please? Just press the like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Hit the notifications bell. You'll find all of my digital images available for editorial or personal use at prostarpics.com. You'll find my photo books and a range of merchandise. Oh, and by the way, yes, I've got calendars now. And you can get those at kimillman.com. This is a 2022 calendar with a number of pictures from this year in it, and you can get it delivered to your house by clicking on the link at kimillman.com. And for my best images live from the track and all during the week, I invite you to go to Instagram and search at Kim Illman. Thanks for watching, and stay passionate. But let's move on to another car that I thought shone, a 720S McLaren. Oh no, we've done that, haven't I? I've done that, dickhead.